Alright, and we're back once again with another episode of Before You Buy, that show where we give you some straight up gameplay and our first impressions of the latest games releasing. This one is definitely just some first impressions. Please excuse us, we've been a little burnt out after all of the other games. But a lot of you guys were asking for just some basic information on this one, so here we go. It's Pokemon Sword and Shield. This is it. This is the one. This is the first true Nintendo Switch Pokemon game, if you don't count the more casual pared down Pokemon Let's Go. So Sword and Shield had a lot of high expectations on it. It really did. And what I think we've ended up with here is a competent, if predictable, entry. It doesn't feel like the massive new step in Pokemon history. It feels more like a smaller stepping stone in some ways. I'm glad it's heading in this direction, though, but there are some big shortcomings. It's just like a step forward and a step back. So in it, you're a young person in the Galar region looking to become a Pokemon trainer and the next champion. Hop, your best bud and sort of first rival, has a brother named Leo that is the Pokemon champion with a kick-ass Charizard. He comes back to your hometown and gives you guys your first Pokemon, and of course, you choose from 3 different types. He gives you his blessing, and you venture out into this new, somewhat United Kingdom-inspired world to go meet more rival trainers, build out your Pokedex, become a world-famous Pokemon trainer, all that stuff. But, of course, it's really all about the friends you make along the way, human and Pokemon. Come on, guys, we've been doing this for like 20 years now. So, like Sun and Moon before it, there is a big emphasis on story here. There's a lot of characters and lots of dialogue. It's fine and fairly interesting, but one of the things that rears its ugly head that's making Pokemon start to feel a little outdated is the voice acting. I'm always generous in this regard, but this time I really think Pokemon sorely needs voice acting. The game's characters look so damn good and move around so much, but you're just reading text once again. And it's a shame because a lot of the characters here are cool looking and very charming. I really like them. But Pokemon is moving into a new generation, and I was hoping, maybe somewhat naively of me, that voice acting would have been one substantial change here, and I was just surprised by how much I was actually left wanting it. I can understand, it's a very big game, there's lots and lots of dialogue in here in a big world, but even a half step like how the Yakuza games are half voiced and half not, or even some JRPGs that do it that way, that stuff would have gone a long way here. But presentation-wise, other than that, the game really does have it going on. Cutscenes are exciting, the way battles kick off is always exciting, and especially when the story fights are concerned, like there's stuff like some really cool mid-match dialogue and camera angle style choices that I really love seeing. But really, more than anything else, it's the look of the world itself. It's nothing short of breathtaking. At least in terms of like an art style standpoint, I'm not exaggerating. The colors, the detail, the rolling hills and valleys, the flying native Pokemon in the air. I love every single second of exploring this world. I actually really do. It's probably my favorite aspect. The style choices are amazing. Now on the technical side, not so much. There are some nasty textures out there in places, and it looks pretty last gen in some moments. The frame rate also has a pretty hard time, especially when it's a busy area or if you're in a doubles match. Also, the draw distance for the environment can sometimes be impressive, but there's still some like extreme pop-in where NPCs no less than 10 feet in front of you suddenly pop in from thin air. It's kinda rough around the edges. Now, while the world itself is cool, a lot of it just feels still extremely mobile. You know what I mean? But gameplay-wise, things are pretty simple here. Z-moves and Mega Evolutions are out, and battles are mostly straightforward stuff you've been playing for years and years, at least from my first impressions. That's something more for like the pro experts to decide. But there is a new dynamic, it's called Dynamax. This is the ability to make certain Pokemon temporarily grow massive in size for these epic, bombastic battles with massively powerful moves. It seems like later on in the game, these take on more importance. You can only trigger them in certain instances and certain locations, and it feels like half weird, even for Pokemon gimmick, and then another half actual legit mechanic. Now, will it end up in the next one? Who knows? I don't know, this stuff comes and goes, but I'm really curious to see how fans actually take to it. Now, running around in the sometimes fully 3D explorable environments is fun. You actually see the Pokemon in the grass, and you can even tiptoe around them sometimes. Plus, out in the bigger regions, there are some powerful Pokemon just roaming around that are drastically higher leveled and can just straight up kick your ass. And that's actually kind of refreshing. I saw like a level 30 Onyx roaming around when I was level 8. I can't wait to come around later and hopefully find another one similar to him and kick his ass. Now, you can establish a camp and go camping out in the world to rest up and look at and interact and play with your Pokemon. You can also cook different types of curries to strengthen them for the battle ahead, and that's a nice little mechanic I really appreciate. You can also, in most scenarios, access your Pokemon box, which allows you to swap out your main Pokemon with your stored ones in a super convenient way right on the fly. Little improvements really go a long way. But ultimately, I feel like the battles themselves just lack spice. You know, whereas the worlds are bigger, the characters are more vibrant, the battles just kind of feel like what I've been playing for the last few games. And this technically is a big step up from 3DS, and I was hoping the feel and look of the battles would follow suit. Dynamax feels kind of like a half step. The actual attacks and movements from Pokemon look and feel close to Let's Go and really Sun and Moon. There's just not too much to a lot of it, and I just want more from the battles, the thing I'm doing most of the time. Especially when I'm playing it docked. Like when I'm playing the next big Pokemon game on my TV, I would just hope it would have a little bit more going on. Thankfully, the gym stuff is going on. Gym battles are now fully realized with their own individual spectacles. You have specific challenges to accomplish beforehand that give the game a nice little shot of variety, and the actual gyms themselves are pretty awesome. Now, from my first impressions, it seems like there's a lot to do. You have the ability to send out stored Pokemon on Pokejobs to keep them busy, and they're updated daily. You can also link up multiplayer and do matchmaking stuff while you're still playing, which is smart. And even link up for others and battle the giant-sized Pokemons in like these little Pokemon-style raids. Every town has lots of shops, and you can make your character look surprisingly cool over time. Now, as you probably know, as much as I haven't followed the news for this game too closely, much has been said about the drastic cuts to the full Pokemon roster, and it is apparent, and it is pretty disappointing. Corners needed to be cut somewhere, and the roster is really getting, really damn big. A lot of the newer Pokemon, I'm actually surprised I'm enjoying a fair amount, but really, I'm hoping the next game can somehow swing a better compromise, you know? So that's about where we're at right now. The hardcore crowd is the one that determines how this one goes, though. I mean, really. The meta, the endgame content, stuff like that. This is just a quick look. I've been playing these games forever. I've done before you buy videos on the last few, but I will not claim to be a hardcore expert like I know some of you out there are. So it's going to take time for this one to develop within the community. I know things are a little rough out there already, but we'll see how time treats this one. I think there are justifiable reasons for why this won't be a universally loved Pokemon game. There are clear setbacks, like the battles themselves lacking much thrills besides the presentation, the technical issues, of course, and the music really being nothing to write home at all. This feels a lot like it's stuck behind in the times. It still feels pretty rooted in its 3DS core, and I think people were expecting way more considering the long-awaited jump to Nintendo Switch and those open environments. But at the very least, there's a bright new world, explorable and fun areas, the Pokemon and the grass stuff, and just some charming characters. I think Pokemon Sword and Shield is one step in the right direction. I just really wish it was 2 steps in the right direction. You know, because you have 2 feet. You know what I mean? You see what I'm trying to get at? But of course, that's a quick before you buy. I give you some pros, some cons, and some personal opinion. And now I want to hear yours down in the comments. The Pokemon community has been pretty vocal in the past, so I'm sure you guys have your complaints and grievances, so let us know in the comments. Let's all be civil. We just want to talk about Pokemon. It's fun, but if you learned something, maybe we helped you out on some new features you didn't know about, clicking the like button is the best way you can help us out. We'd really appreciate that. And if you're new, maybe consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell because we put out new videos every single day. But, as always, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time.